A long time ago, in a land far, far away,
Australia.
on December the 3rd, which is coincidentally my birthday, I was born! And this is my Draw My Life. I know it's been about half a decade since it was last popular to do these things, but I was challenged by Julian, the fish slappee, to draw my life, and since I am an artist and have not yet done this, I figured it would be a good challenge to start with. The challenge here being that my life thus far has been pretty uninspiring, so I'll need to make it interesting somehow. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. We begin this story in the 80s. Just. When I was brought into the world, a wee babe, as many of us were. I grew up in Sydney with my mum, my dad, and my sister, but we did used to travel a lot as a family. My dad was actually an actuary. What a phrase. And he used to get asked to attend conferences all over the place, so we'd just sort of travel with him. My parents took me to Fiji, to Norway, Vanuatu, Egypt, the US, the UK, the UAE, and while we were travelling, my sister and I mostly just fought a lot. But when we weren't travelling, and we were in Sydney, I went to school like most other kids, and my parents seemed to think that I was going to be some sort of sports star. They enrolled me in athletics, netball, swimming, karate, gymnastics. While a small part of me enjoyed the thought of becoming the next Karate Kid, I soon decided that sport was not for me, and I turned to music and theatre instead. And by the time I went to high school, I was playing violin, the trombone, and the piano. I know, you little overachiever. I wish I had some fun stories or something from my childhood, but like I said, I was a pretty boring kid. Anyway, I got through high school without too much trouble. I went to a selective school in Sydney's northern suburbs, and while it was a little bit competitive, I didn't really stand out, but I didn't really fit in. I went to band before school, I got good grades, I had a good group of friends, and I ended up doing well enough to get myself accepted into the university course that I wanted, which was nice. So I went to uni, not to study music, or art, or even media, but to study ancient history and archaeology. Remember when I told you we used to travel a lot as a family? Every single time we went to the UK, my parents would take me to the British Museum. And I adored it. The British Museum was like my Disneyland. So when it came to picking a university course, I chose the course that would help me one day end up at the British Museum, maybe, because there are so many jobs up for grabs over there. Hire me. But hey, I have a curious personality and a bit of a Marxist outlook, and I enjoy seeing how different cultures interacted and affected change in each other, and also hieroglyphs are super cool. So I jumped headfirst into a 4-year honours degree in Egyptology. Now I know what you're thinking. How had I forgotten the two great loves of my life up until that point? Music and art. Well, first of all, I didn't actually start drawing or painting until I was about 21, which sounds quite old, but I'm very old, so I have been drawing for a while now. And music just never seemed viable as a career path. However, when I was at uni, I did end up joining and subsequently spending most of my time with their musical theatre society. I made lifelong friends, we put on brilliant shows, and just had an all-round good time with a bunch of people who broke out into song at least twice every 10 minutes. I had such a good time, in fact, that even once I finished my degree, I enrolled in a master's course so that I could stick around to help out with more productions. The Egyptology course also, I guess inadvertently, took me to one of the scariest situations in my life. I applied for one of their on-site units, and I found myself in the middle of Egypt on a dig site during the summer, or the Australian summer of 2010-11, which is when the Egyptian revolution broke out. It's always going to be a memory that sticks out in my brain because it's the most cut off I've ever felt from anyone. I was in a rural town in a country where I didn't speak the language. The government had cut off the internet, they'd cut down the phone lines, And the only way I was getting any news was by the hotel staff who would translate the Arabic news to us. While at the time I don't think I realised quite what was going on, it became very clear to me when I got back home what a sort of scary situation that was. But hey, I got home in the end. It took a while because getting a flight out of Egypt was not easy. There you go. That's a story, I guess. While I was meant to be studying for my master's course and was actually messing around with the Musical Theatre Society, I got a job with a local travel agency, and I realised that I was getting stuck. I was getting stuck to the Musical Theatre Society, I was getting stuck to this new job, and I was getting really stuck to Sydney. So, like any logical person, I decided to drop everything and buy a one-way ticket to move overseas. I picked London because, well, that's where Disneyland is, and I packed up my life in Sydney and hopped on a flight and pretty much didn't look back. And if you go back far enough in my YouTube archive, this is about where I start to upload videos. Mostly because I sort of wanted to document my move from Australia to the UK. And now, of course, the UK is just sort of where I call home. I do miss all of my friends back in Sydney. I think I always will. But I'm still a travel agent, so I can get myself flights out there pretty freaking cheap. And I'm not really sure what else there is to say after that. I've made some fantastic friends in the UK. I don't think I'll be moving back to Australia anytime soon. And I've made some fantastic friends through YouTube as well, so yeah. Anyway, thanks for sticking around to sort of hear and see the story of my life. I wish it was more interesting, but hey ho. I'll be back next Friday at 8 PM with a new video. I wish I could say as usual, but this is the first week that this has happened. But until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay safe, and I will speak at you again soon. Bye!